Hello and welcome back to the Thoughts on podcast. My name's Stefanie. I'm your host. I'm 25 years old. I study for a master's in clinical nutrition, and this podcast is based on my thoughts on certain topics. Sometimes I will put in the sciencey background, sometimes I won't. I will just talk about my opinions on matters, and it will be all around nutrition, a healthy lifestyle, veganism, as well as exercise and being active. Today's topic is how to lose weight and gain your health back on a vegan diet. To start off with, I like to address this episode to certain people because I think I don't want to waste your time. And if you are done with your dieting, if you're looking for a way to lose weight long term, this is the podcast episode for you. Because a vegan diet is a long term lifestyle approach. Obviously, being vegan has more ethical sides, but when I talk about veganism in this episode, I'm talking about plant-based eating. It's just more common for people to hear vegan instead of plant-based. That's why I'm using it. And if your goal is to prioritize your health while losing weight and while maintaining a healthy weight, then this is definitely very interesting for you because plant-based eating and veganism is probably the healthiest thing you can do for yourself when it comes to maintaining a good health, and I'll tell you why in this episode. So let's get started. Quick to my background. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will see me awkwardly sitting in my on my sofa. But other than that, I do have slides on my computer, and the first picture is me. I think I was around 14 years old, very skinny. And a little bit of background to my mental state at that point. I There's actually a story to it. I used to be quite chubby as a child. I know this picture doesn't look like it, but there was a point, it was pre-puberty, where one of the boys I liked in my class made a comment and told me that I have a double chin, and that kind of set everything on fire for me because I wanted to lose weight, and I stopped eating dinner. I ate less and less. I downloaded my fitness pal because Instagram was just starting and I was following fitness influencers, and yeah, it was all about eat more protein, eat less carbs, eat less calories in total, count your calories, count your macros. And I did, and I also did like I don't know, at least like 100 sit-ups before bed. Yeah, and that's how I looked based on that. And during that time, because I was looking at fitness influencers, I also saw people who, just seemed to be so happy exercising and running. And that's when I started to run. First, it was about losing calories, it was about losing weight. But then I really enjoyed it, and my diet changed again. It was more focused on performance. So I signed up for loads of races. I got into half marathons and marathons and 5K races and 10K races, and I just had the best time and really enjoyed my lifestyle. I was still quite restricting, except before races I would like a carb load because that's what I heard was good for running, but it was really only right before a race where I would do that. And yeah, I would say I was quite happy at that point because I got many compliments. I felt very fit. I felt I don't want to say beautiful, but I felt pretty enough. And it all took a turn when I moved to Scotland, actually, for my university, for my bachelor's degree initially, because previously during that time, because I was quite restricting, I had small, really like once a week or once every month, like not very much, phases where if my parents would have sweets at home, which we're not really a family of eating a lot of sweets, but if we would, I would just take out a package of, I don't know, Kinder chocolates or whatever, and I would just eat the whole thing, like in one sitting, mindlessly, just like cramming it in, and would feel terrible afterwards. I didn't know at the time that that was basically a start of binge eating, but anyway, this is not a video about that, so I'll just move on. I had some small episodes, but then I moved to Scotland, and things got really bad really quick, especially in the first year. I felt quite lonely. I didn't feel like I belonged because I was like I came from school and working, like afterwards I did an apprenticeship. I was working at a job. I was making money. I felt appreciated by my classmates because I always had good grades. I felt appreciated by my colleagues at work, and also in my gym. I had good friends I went to the gym with, and all of that stopped because it's a new country. You need to put in some effort to make some friends. But it went downhill for me very quickly. I skipped classes. We lived right next to it, or I lived right next to a supermarket. I would buy huge amounts of foods. I would eat them in one sitting. I would sometimes spend a few days in bed crying and eating, and it was just not a very good time for me at that time. And I gained weight very quickly, felt bad for it, went for a run, had to puke, got into the whole bulimia thing. Anyway, moving on. One lucky day, I think it was second year. Yeah, I was 1 year past. I was still not very at a healthy weight. I tried to bounce back the way I did before with restricting and eating less carbs and all these things. I did some like detox juice cleanses and what have you, and it didn't work for me anymore. So it was me watching Game Changers on Netflix, because it was about athletes, and I was like, oh my god, I do have that in me, although I don't look like one at the moment. And yeah, they were all eating a plant-based diet, and that was the first time ever in my life that I ever thought about, how can you be a vegan and be an athlete? Like, it was so preposterous to me almost. And yeah, I really got drawn in, and then I went on YouTube and looked for healthy athletes, who are not like really famous, but like YouTube famous basically. And I found Similar Nutrition, and I'm very grateful for his videos. Shout out to Derek. If he ever sees that, he won't. But anyway, a shout out. I really love his channel. It's all about eating whole food, plant based. I loved his recipes. I loved his lifestyle, and yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to eat more like him. Maybe this will be my solution. And I researched more about nutrition, and I really fell in love with the whole subject. Read loads of books, from vegan doctors and all that, and that's like how it started for me in my second year of uni in my bachelor's degree. I think it was like a year after that picture was taken of me where I look more in a it wasn't really the chubbiness that disturbed me the most. It was that I wasn't happy with myself, and my lifestyle was just a mess. You see the picture above and the picture down, me in the gym. It was actually before I gave a course. I am a certified Les Mills body combat instructor. I did that before COVID happened, so I do have the license, but I'm not really practicing, so I don't really want to call myself an instructor. But on that day, I did a class, and that's how I looked, on a whole food plant-based diet. Not really watching my calories, learning about you don't need that much protein, you don't need that much fat in your life. Focus on whole foods basically, and I was only exercising around 5 hours a week, which is very different from the picture you see next to me, where I was in my high fitness phase, where I was exercising twice daily, and it was at least, I don't know, 10-15 hours per week, without exaggerating. So it was really working for me. I was really happy about it. And in this video, I know this took me like 10 minutes to get to this point, I will talk about a whole food plant-based diet, how you can get started, why it is beneficial, and all that. Let's get into it. First, I want you to ask yourself a question. I'm going to lean back for that. Why do you want to lose weight? Is it an external or an internal reason? First, I want to applaud you if you think, or if you're at a point in your life where you feel like you have a little bit extra, fat on your body that you would like to get rid of. Might it be for aesthetic reasons? Might it be for health reasons? It's always good to work on yourself and to improve yourself, to live, to be happier and healthier as an outcome. But if you are in a position where you just want to do it like because you think other people expect it of you, or you would be more appreciated by others if you look a certain way and lose weight, then I mean, you can still obviously do whatever you want, but I and I speak from personal experience, it's a healthier way to lose weight, no matter the diet, if you stay true to yourself, if you really feel in your heart that you're doing it for yourself, because everything in life you do out of a place of love and compassion for yourself in that case. It doesn't just make the journey easier, but it also makes it more rewarding because you don't seek the external, but you seek the internal, if that makes sense. And after you ask yourself that question, I want you to write down your goals. Like, what are your goals? Know that the healthy BMI range is from 20 to 25. And I say that because I used to calculate how much I need to weigh to be underweight, and that is not a healthy standpoint. So try to stay in the healthy range because that's when you have the most benefits in terms of longevity. Like I said, it's between 20 and 25. You can find BMI calculators online. It's not the most reliable resource, but just as a rule of thumb, it might help to get started with. And optimal, that is the healthy weight, but the optimal weight range in terms of BMI is actually between 20 and 22, just as a note. And write down your goals, and then also, apart from all the metrics, write down your feelings and emotions, because you're more likely to be successful if you go for emotions and not for metrics, because our body and our mind works better with anticipation of, I will feel like this if I lose, or if you gain, or whatever your goal is. If you have an emotion attached to that, that makes your journey more enjoyable, first of all. And also, I think that is one of the secrets to sustain weight loss. And that is not just me quoting science, because that is not science, but that is my personal experience. And also when I talk to other people who've been through certain eating disorders and stuff, that seems to be the most helpful. So I just want to share that with you. Do with that tip as you wish. And journaling is not something for everyone, I understand, but it has helped me personally a lot to check in with myself, to see how I'm doing, and also have some sort of rating, like how do I feel today. And if I feel everyone can have a bad day, but if you feel bad for a few consecutive days, then you might want to change things up. Might it be what you're eating, might it be what you're doing, might it be what you're consuming, because I think social media plays such a big role in our lives, and being too much on social media can be harmful if you consume content that doesn't lead to you being more educated, or doesn't lead you to be more happy or entertained, and it just like puts you down. Then you might want to consider changing that as well. But now I want you to be very happy now, because I want to congratulate you, because you hit jackpot with wanting to lose weight and wanting to gain health with a vegan diet or plant-based diet. Because when we look at science, it just seems to be the easiest way and the most enjoyable way to lose weight, because among all those weight loss studies, being on a whole food plant-based diet is the only weight loss study where they don't have, like the one study I'm quoting here, is they didn't have an upper limit for calories. They were telling participants you can basically eat as much as you like until you're full of whole plant foods, keeping the oils low, keeping it low fat, and you don't even have to exercise. It's just, if you like, you can exercise. If you don't like, you don't have to exercise. And over the long term, that was the greatest success in weight loss. So you definitely hit jackpot here. So be assured that if you stay on this lifestyle, if you find all the delicious recipes with whole foods, you will have an easy and very enjoyable time long term to lose the weight and stay at a healthy weight very easily. It's truly simply all about finding those recipes that you enjoy. If you ask me, adaptation in the beginning can be hard, especially if you have been eating meat and dairy before, if you eliminate these foods to find substitutes that work for you and that are healthy. I think that is the key. And then over time, your taste buds will change as well, and it makes the whole transition very easy. in my experience and my opinion. Anyway, moving on, why eating plant-based is amazing to regain your health or stay healthy. Let me tell you, plant-based diets are associated with lower risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer, and this is thought to be due to the high levels of fiber and phytochemicals found in plant-based foods, whole foods, of course, as well as the lower levels of saturated fat and cholesterol that are found in animal products. So, congratulations to ditching all the unhealthy stuff and fueling with the healthiest foods on these planets. And the good thing is here, it's also cheaper. I started a plant based diet as a student and I cut my grocery bills not really in half, that would be a lie, but substantially because dairy, cheese, and meat is definitely more expensive than a bag of rice and beans and veggies. So, just as a side note. Now I want to answer the question because I know a lot of people have it. Isn't weight loss just eat less and move more? The answer to that is yes, but actually no. I know it makes no sense because weight loss is about calorie density. And if you're not familiar about calorie density, it's basically the difference between eating a carrot or 100 calories worth of carrots versus 100 calories worth of chicken. Thing is, 100 calories of chicken is not very much. You can probably eat 100 calories within 2 bites, whereas 100 calories worth of carrots, you'll be chewing a lot. So that is basically the concept of calorie density. And if you can see this visual, if you're on the YouTube podcast, you'll see that fruits and vegetables are the least calorie dense foods, meaning you can stuff your stomach full of fruits and vegetable all day long, and the calories you're eating in the end of the day are less than if you stuff your stomach full of oil, cheese, and meat, for example, because it takes a long time to fill up your stomach solemnly on meat than it does on eating vegetables and beans and legumes and fruit and veggies. So eating foods that are very calorie loose is helping your weight loss automatically because you will feel satiated way quicker because you can eat less calories and feel satiated. I hope that makes sense. And another thing is the opportunity cost of what we put into our mouth. And that maybe sounds weird, but what I mean by that, a banana is healthy, but eating blueberries instead of a banana is healthier, for example. Eating Beyond Meat is probably healthier than eating minced meat, like beef. But eating a Buddha bowl instead of that Beyond Meat burger is healthier. So if you think about food, think about the opportunity cost of what you put into your mouth. There's nothing wrong with, treating yourself. Now, like some days with sweets and treats and vegan junk food or whatever, but think about what you could be eating instead and how much your body would appreciate it maybe more if you would skip these meals and eat more and fill your stomach more with nutritious foods. And that's the point. And let's talk about macros. I'm not the biggest fan of macros, not anymore. I used to be quite fascinated about calculating calories and calculating macros and all these things, but let me tell you, your body is very intelligent. Your body doesn't care about macros as much because if you just think about fat, carbohydrates, and protein as a macro, you isolate it basically. What do I mean by that? First, let me tell you, if you don't know, protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories, and alcohol actually has 7 calories. But that's not really a health food, so I don't really want to talk about that here today. Maybe on a different episode, I will talk about alcohol. Anyway, people tend to be so fascinated, especially for weight loss, with protein shakes because there's this myth, and it's still very prevalent and persistent, that you feel more satiated after eating a high protein meal, which is based on a study. I actually read that study about the feeling of people. Like people ate a high protein meal, and then they were asked how satiated they felt, but In the long run, although they felt more satiated after a high protein meal, during the day, people on high protein meals ate more calories than people on high carb meals. So if you care about satiety, fair enough. You do you. Maybe you want to bulk up or whatever. But if you care about weight loss and about not overeating, a high carb meal might be more preferred by your body, as carbohydrates and glucose is the body's preferred source of energy. That's enough about macros. Now let me tell you why I don't want to talk about macros, because every piece of whole plant food has all of the free macronutrients. They all have fat. Even broccoli has fat. It's like 0.2 grams, but there's fat in there. There's carbs in there, and there is protein in there. Broccoli is actually loaded with protein if we look at in terms of percentage per gram. So the fear of protein and not getting enough healthy fat, so I need to drizzle olive oil or whatever on top, is absolutely unnecessary if you eat a whole food plant-based diet. It might be more necessary to think about these things if you eat more isolated foods. With isolated, I mean if you eat like processed French fries that are dipped or fried with a lot of fat, then you might end up on a lower spectrum when it comes to like healthy fats, when it comes to eating enough carbohydrates, when it comes to eating enough protein. But if you eat whole foods, if you eat potatoes and veggies and fruit and nuts and seeds, you'll be fine with all macros. So I hope this helps you to not freak out about macros anymore. It took me a while. To be honest, when I transitioned to a vegan diet, the first thing I did was ordering vegan protein powder. But I'm over it now. So yeah. The best case you can do when you want to regain your health and lose weight is avoid isolation. Isolation in terms of oils, because oil is isolated fat. Then we have protein powder, which is isolated protein, and we have sugar, which is isolated carbs. There is a place and time for all of these things to eat in isolation. For example, if you're if you're an endurance athlete and you're on the race, it's probably not the best idea to eat potatoes while you're running, because your body needs quick glucose. So there's a place for sugar. If you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to lean down while building muscle, which is very hard because technically our body doesn't really work like that, but there would be a place for protein powder because you want to bulk up your protein content while reducing your caloric intake. But as a normal human being, if you want to lose weight, if you're a normal athlete, exercising every day 30 minutes to an hour, you're absolutely fine with whole foods. You don't need to eat technically anything in isolation. So I know protein powders are good in marketing, but you don't really need them. Eat predominantly whole foods. I'm really sorry about my voice. I'm not really used to talking that much. Eat predominantly whole foods. If you do these 4 things, which includes not smoking, not being obese, so I know you're currently trying to lose weight, so going back to the healthy BMI, you exercise around 30 minutes per day. That could just be a very brisk walk outside for 30 minutes, and you eat predominantly whole foods, meaning more fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains, more legumes, and less meat and dairy. If we do that, we may be able to wipe out more than 90% of our risk to develop type 2 diabetes, more than 80% risk of having a heart attack, and reduce overall cancer risk by more than a third, except of colon cancer, because up to 71% of cases appear to be preventable through these lifestyle changes. So let that be motivation to go on this lifestyle. Let's talk about satiety cues. One thing I want to make very clear, if you want to lose weight with a plant-based diet and you want to do it sustainably and long-term, you should never go to bed hungry. That might be a weird thing to say on a podcast where I talk about weight loss, but this is truly a goal. And there's a difference between being hungry and craving food. Because if you change your diet, and depending how radically you change your diet, or if you want to make it more like a slow process, there's no right or wrong, you do you. You might go to bed and you have this vision about chocolate and you're like, oh my god, I miss chocolate, I really crave chocolate. That's not hunger, that's cravings. And that's really up to you to choose, am I getting myself some vegan chocolate, or am I just trying to overcome this craving? There are plenty of amazing vegan chocolates out there, and some are healthier than others, but that's just as an example. But one thing you shouldn't do is go to bed and feel like a hole in your stomach, being absolutely hungry, because that's not sustainable. So make sure to eat enough. You can eat as many whole foods as you like. If you need, eat a banana before bed. If you need, cook a soup in advance, like per week. I don't know how to say that. Like bulk up on soup, basically healthy veggie soup, and just have that if you crave it. Make yourself some awesome bread. Have some bread. It might not be the healthiest thing in terms of sodium content, but if that helps you stay on the diet and stay consistent with a whole food plant-based diet, make yourself some whole grain bread. It's okay. And one thing that can help with satiety, and that is based on science again, is try to have undistracted meals. Try to avoid being on your phone, on your TV, which is, I know I shouldn't preach this because I basically make this mistake a lot. It's not a mistake, but I watch TV while I eat. But it would help if I wouldn't do that, and that is based on science. So I'll just put it out there, do with it as you may. And 20 minutes, if you achieve that, you take 20 minutes to eat your meal, that helps your body send your brain the cues of satiety. It's kind of the same with eating undistracted, because your body tells you when it's full. You have stretch receptors on your stomach, you will be aware. But if you're distracted, the message might not come up in your brain as quickly as it could otherwise. Now, do you have to exercise? Exercise is amazing for mental health, for strengthening your cardiovascular system, to increase your bone density, and to increase your immunity if you exercise a moderate amount. It's also amazing for joint strength and stability, and increase confidence and mood. It can aid with weight loss, but it's not really something that tips the scale. You can't out-exercise a bad diet. You should exercise because it is healthy, not because it will help you lose weight, if that makes sense. And that is something I can also say from personal experience, because that was what I did back in the day, and it's not fun. So use exercise, find something that you like, maybe try out a new club. Try out a new sport if you like, and go to a gym, try out exercise classes. I can highly recommend Les Mills. Yeah, I'm not an affiliate, I'm an instructor. Anyway, getting off topic. So exercise is definitely beneficial, but it's not necessarily. If you just start out trying to lose weight and adopting a new lifestyle, maybe just one at a time is enough. Maybe just change your diet first, because I can't guarantee you, but I'm very confident that when you lose weight and when you feel the energy and the benefits of this diet, you'll automatically want to be more outdoors, you want to move more, and maybe let that just be a natural process, and don't push every change on you overnight. And I want to encourage you to not avoid fruit. I know there's been some controversy about fruit, which is very sad, because fruit has never harmed anyone. Because fruit is packed with nutrition. It's low in calorie density because of its high water content and fiber. As a group, they average nearly 10 times more antioxidants than any other fruits and vegetables. Berries, for example, offer potential protection against cancer, boost your immune system, and can be a guard for a healthy liver and a healthy brain. So don't be scared about even really, really sweet fruit. People are really afraid of bananas. I used to. If my mom watches this, then, well, shout out. I used to eat half a banana because I was too afraid of too much sugar. If I make a smoothie now, I put in like 3 or 4 bananas, and it's It's just a funny anecdote for myself. So don't avoid fruit, really. The more fruit you eat, the better. If you want to lose weight, maybe don't eat too many smoothies. Not because you can't lose weight if you eat smoothies, but it's just the same thing with like satiety cues. It might be easier for you to just eat the whole fruit as a piece and not as a smoothie. And if you eat smoothies or drink smoothies, I think the best advice here would be to drink them slowly and not to just like chuck them, because if you chuck them, you might get that blood sugar spike. Whereas if you eat them, eat the whole fruit, you have a lower increase in blood sugar, and that might be better in terms of a long-term satiety throughout the day. And now I want to talk, I'm almost done, I'm sorry for this long podcast. I want to talk about healthy fats and oils. I want to ask you a question, and because I know this is a touchy subject. People say olive oil is the healthiest oil, and I always say, yeah, compared to what? Compared to other oils? Maybe. But if you compare it to whole olives, no. Oils are super, super high in calories, and they're super, super stripped of vitamins and nutrients and fiber. The good thing if you eat an olive is that you actually get a lot of other nutrients as well. If you drink or add olive oil, not so much. So try to avoid oils. If it's a habit of you, well, try to minimize it, but I can guarantee you when you leave the oils away, and there's a way to cook without oils, if you believe me or not. My parents never believed me, now they're doing it as well, so there is a way to do it, and you just have to be creative. You have to figure it out. For baking, I can say use applesauce instead of oil in recipes, and for roasting garlic and onion, either use water or use soy sauce. It really works fine as well. I'm not a cook, but this is how I do it and how I like it. It's also a thing with what you're used to, because now if I go to a restaurant and I get a meal which is like filled with oil, I feel it, like, that sounds weird, but I feel it on my tongue. Like, I don't like the taste of too much fattiness. I can eat ice cream, like, obviously I like vegan ice cream, but when it comes to oil in food, I don't really like it anymore. And it wasn't always the case, but it's a thing of getting used to it. And important note, get yourself a vitamin B12 supplement. Everybody needs a reliable source of vitamin B12. If you're an omnivore, you probably get it from your meat and dairy, which is also supplemented to the animals that you're eating. But if you are a plant-based eater, if you had any form of surgery in your digestive tract that might hinder and impair absorption, and if everyone, even meat eaters, if you're older than 50 years old, you should get a B12 supplement, because the amount of absorption is just reduced in older age. If you watch this podcast, you now see a visual on how much B12 you need. If you have children and they're weaned, you need 5 milligrams per day. Like, obviously children won't listen to this, but if you have a child that is weaned, 5 milligrams per day. Between the age of 4 and 10, it's 25 milligrams daily. For adults, it's 50 milligrams daily or 2,000 milligrams weekly. And pregnant and breastfeeding women, it's 50 milligrams daily. Here it is advised to separate that into morning and evening, so like 25 morning, 25 evening, just to ensure better absorption, or 2,000 milligrams per week. If you're over the age of, that's actually 50 and not 65, 1,000 milligrams daily. And individuals with B12 deficiency, well, first, you only know that because you've been to the doctor, and well done for you. You will get an appropriate doses probably from your doctor. If not, it's 1,000 milligrams daily for at least a month. So you really have to ramp up the B12. B12 itself, it takes a long time to be deficient because our liver has huge storage capacity. So if you're a healthy individual and you switch to a vegan diet and you have been eating enough B12, previously from fortified foods or from meat, eggs, and dairy products, it probably takes you around 2 to 5 years to be deficient. But nonetheless, you don't want to be deficient as it's so important. And there's no side effect to taking B12. So make sure you have a supplement. It's not too expensive. I actually have a affiliate link to the B12 supplement I personally use, and it's been the same ever since I started a vegan diet because I absolutely love the flavor. And it has 3 very active forms of B12. I put that in the show notes or in the video description if you're interested to check it out. I will get a small commission from that, I have to say, but it's at no, like, the price doesn't increase for you. So if you want to support this channel, thank you very much for using my link. And some of the immediate changes you can expect when you switch to a plant-based diet. It really depends on your previous situation, because for me, I switched to a plant-based diet, eating similar foods than before, just veganized. So it took me a while to figure out to really eat whole food plant-based. And during that time then, my changes were more energy. I felt happier. I also researched a lot about the ethics side of things, and that made me happier and more compassionate as well. And physically, I lost weight. Like, within a year, I think I lost around 7 kilos. And yeah, I felt good overall. So you can be really excited about that plant-based future of yours if you decide to go plant-based. One thing I want to say about digestion, it depends how much fiber you were used to in the past. Fiber is super healthy. Your gut bacteria will absolutely love you for eating more fiber. However, if you're not used to it, then you might want to start smaller, like increase your fiber consumption bit by bit over the day so you don't experience indigestion or some discomfort. But well, I can also tell you, if you experience discomfort, it's probably only for the first 1 or 2 weeks until your digestive system is used to it. If it is more prevalent than that, please consult a doctor. But in most cases, it shouldn't be the case. Your digestion gets used to it, and then you reap all the benefits. As a personal anecdote, I'm very excited for you. And it helped me so much. And I hope that with this podcast episode and with my YouTube channel in general, I can motivate you and encourage you to go on this plant-based journey, because it is so healthy and not enough people know about the health benefits, because veganism is very stigmatized, and I used to stigmatize it as well. But if you took all these labels away, you'll find a lifestyle that is supporting your health, that makes you feel more connected to nature. At least that was my experience. And yeah, it has so many amazing foods out there. You really should just focus on what you add to your diet than what you not add to your diet, and don't give yourself a hard time if you slip up in the beginning. That might be controversial of a vegan to say. It's not bad if you eat meat here and there, but if that is your journey and that is your way of reducing your meat intake and increasing your whole food intake, then you shouldn't feel bad about it. It's really about progress and not perfection. And that was my first podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're still listening. If you are, please let me know in the comments below if you can, or leave a review for this podcast. I really try to improve as I go along. This is weird for me. I've been doing YouTube videos for over a year now, but sitting here with a microphone in my hand on my couch is a bit different. So I hope you liked it. Let me know what you think. I hope you have a nice day whenever you see this and wherever you are. Don't forget to, if you have any questions regarding this episode or regarding a plant-based diet or regarding anything really, to leave them in the comments below and I might get to it. Also, if you're interested in coming on this podcast to discuss anything really, feel free to just contact me and let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll see if I can make that happen. Very excited for this podcast journey. Thank you so much. I hope I see you next time. Take care. Bye.